Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel. In this episode we are going to start a new grammar lesson which is modal verbs, okay? Modal verbs, or we call them models, okay? We call them models. Alright, now this lesson is very important for all English learners in general and particularly for baccalaureate students, okay? Alright, so as you might notice, this is episode number 1, which means we will have other episode related to modal verbs, okay? Modal verbs, because modal verbs is not something that we can cover in 1 or 2 episodes, okay? Now the first thing that you have to keep in mind when we talk about modal verbs, these are verbs, okay? We are talking about a certain category of verbs, okay? Of verbs. Alright, now here is a very simple dialogue between Tom and Dad, between Tom and his dad, father, okay? Father, alright. Now take a minute, try to read this dialogue and identify the verbs in this dialogue, okay? Alright. Alright, okay, now let's read this dialogue, okay? Tom, I have an exam tomorrow. I have an exam tomorrow. Dad, really? You should revise your lessons, okay? Now let's start with Tom, okay? I, very simply, is a subject, okay? I, you, he, she, it, etc. Subject, okay? Have is the verb, okay? Have is the verb, and an exam is an object, okay? An exam is an object. I have an exam tomorrow at the verb of time, okay? At the verb of time, all right? Now, this is for Tom. I have an exam tomorrow. So, have is verb number 1, okay? Now, Dad, really? Okay, really is something for interest or surprise. So, really, you should revise your lessons, okay? You is very simply subject, okay? And here we have your lessons, and your lessons is object, okay? Your lessons is object, okay? Now we still have should and revise, okay? Should and revise. Revise is, as you might notice, the verb, and should is very simply a modal verb, okay? So should is a modal verb. We are going to see other ones, okay? We are going to see other ones. So the first one is, okay, as I said, should, okay? So the first modal verb is should, as we have here. Also, we can talk about can, all right, or could, or must, and mustn't. Also, may, might. We can also have need, another modal verb. Okay, so these are the most common modal verbs we have, the most common modal verbs we have in English, okay? So in this episode number 1, we are going to talk about modal verbs in general, okay? In general, starting from the next episode, we are going to start with each modal verb in details, okay? Now, let's go back again to this dialogue. You should revise your lessons, okay? Now, look at the modal verb. It is always plus, as you can see, plus verb, okay? Plus verb. So modal verbs, these modal verbs can never be used alone. They are always plus a verb. Modal verbs are always plus a verb. And this verb, as you may notice, is it with to? Is it with ing? Is it conjugated? It is always in infinitive. It is always in infinitive. So this verb should always be in infinitive, and infinitive without to. Infinitive without to. Okay, not with to. Okay. So here, for example, can we say you should to revise your lessons? No. Can we say you should revising your lessons? Never. Okay. You should revise your lesson. Okay. Modal should plus verb, okay, plus verb, as you can see, in infinitive, okay, in infinitive. This is very simple to remember. So this is rule number 1, the first thing you have to remember, okay? So modal verbs are plus verb in infinitive, okay? This is number 1. Number 2 that I'd like you to remember is that modal verbs don't need the auxiliary for negative, okay, for negative. For example, here we can say should or shouldn't. So we don't have the auxiliary. Can or can't or cannot. They don't need the auxiliary, okay? Could or couldn't, okay? Could or couldn't or could not, okay? Must or mustn't, okay? Mustn't, all right? May or may not. Might or might not. Need or needn't, okay? So these modal verbs don't need the auxiliary in negative, okay? In the negative, okay? Not like other verbs, for example, revise. I revise. I don't revise, okay? I don't revise, or I didn't revise. Do here is the auxiliary, okay? So this is number 2, very important thing to remember. So as I said before, either we can say can or can't, can or can't, or cannot, okay? We can also say can, can't, or cannot, okay? Could, so we can say could or couldn't. All right, okay? We can say must or mustn't, okay? We can say may or may not, okay? May or may not, okay? May or may not, okay? Might or might not, okay? The same as may, okay? Need or needn't, okay? Need or needn't. So as you can see, these modal verbs don't need the auxiliary for negation. They themselves function as auxiliaries in sentence, okay? In sentence. All right, this is number 2. Number 3, let's go back again to this dialogue. Tom, I have an exam tomorrow. Dad, really? You should revise your lessons. So what is this? You should revise your lessons. What is Dad trying to say? What is Dad trying to say here? It's very simply, he is advising, okay? He is giving advice, okay? He is giving advice to his son, okay? To his son. So here, in this case, should is for giving advice. So Dad here is advising his son, Tom, to revise his lessons, okay? To revise his lessons. So he can also say, really, I advise you to revise your lessons. I advise you to revise your lessons, or you should revise your lessons, okay? So when you have an exam, you should revise your lessons. This is what? This is very simply advice. So as you can see, modal verbs, each of these modal verbs has a function, okay? The function that we are concerned with here is what? Is very simply to give advice, okay? To give advice, okay? All right, so starting from the next episode, we are going to go through each modal verb with its functions, okay? All right, rule number 4 is that these modal verbs can be used in present, for present. They can also be used for past or for future, okay? For future, okay? For example, I can speak English, or I could speak English, the past, or I will be able to speak English in future. So this has to do with future. So modal verbs, all modal verbs can be either used in present or even in past or even in future. This is something that we will talk about in a specific episode. So this is all that I can say about today's episode, modal verbs. So this is just like an introduction to the lesson, okay? Just an introduction to modal verbs, okay? In the upcoming episodes, we are going to go through all these modal verbs with their functions, okay? With their functions, okay? All right, so I hope you understood this. If you have any question or suggestion or any comment, you're welcome. Don't hesitate to mention that in the comments. See you in another episode, Modal Verbs 2. Have a good time and goodbye.